Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are tackling a classic productivity manual with, let's be honest, a seriously bizarre title, Eat That Frog by Tracy. Look, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by an endless to-do list, or if you find yourself constantly busy but never actually moving the needle on your big goals, you are definitely not alone. So let's dive into this, because the concepts we're about to unpack are an absolute game changer for mastering your time and finally beating procrastination for good.
So where does this weird title actually come from? Well, Mark Twain once shared this old, slightly gross saying. He said, if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that that is probably the worst thing that is going to happen to you all day long. In Brian Tracy's methodology, your frog is just a metaphor. It represents your biggest, most important task. You know the one. It's that massive looming item on your desk that carries the most weight but is also the exact same task you are most likely to put off if you don't tackle it head-on.
Which brings us to a really practical question. If you have to eat two frogs, which one do you eat first? The answer is brilliantly simple, but honestly, it requires some real discipline to pull off. You must force yourself to tackle the biggest, ugliest frog before you do anything else. No sitting around staring at it for an hour, no clearing out your email inbox first just to feel productive. Just eat it. Doing the hardest, most impactful thing first is literally the foundational secret to high-level productivity.
To systematically train ourselves to actually do this, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to move from feeling overwhelmed to total time mastery in 5 distinct phases. First, knowing your frog. Second, planning before you start. Third, task prioritization techniques. Fourth, identifying and overcoming obstacles. And finally, focused action and maintaining your energy.
All right, let's jump straight into phase 1. Know your frog. Listen, clarity is the single most important concept in personal productivity. You just can't eat your frog if you don't even know what it is, right? Ambiguity is basically the enemy of execution. If your goals are fuzzy, your motivation is going to drain before you even start. So to create that laser-sharp clarity, here are 7 super actionable steps for goal setting. First, decide exactly what you want. Second, write it down. And guys, this is massive. Only 3% of adults actually have clear, written goals, and they accomplish wildly more than the other 97% combined. Third, set a deadline. Fourth, make a list of everything you must do to achieve it. Fifth, organize that list into a sequential plan. Sixth, take action immediately. And seventh, resolve to do something every single day that moves you toward that major goal.
Now, to truly master that first step, you really need to focus on your key result areas. Ask yourself, why am I actually on the payroll at my job? You've got to align your written goals with your unique personal strengths and the core reasons you were hired in the first place. What is the one thing that only you can do that, if done excellently, makes a huge difference to your team or your organization? Identify your unique talents and aim them directly at those key result areas. That is how you maximize your output.
Moving right along to phase 2, planning before starting.
We all have that urge to just jump right into the workout of pure panic, right? But remember this golden rule. Every single minute you spend in planning saves you 10 minutes in execution. That is an incredible return on your time investment. It's perfectly captured by the 6P formula. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. Planning is essentially bringing the future into the present so you can actually do something about it right now. This simple act of just thinking on paper before you dive into the chaos of your day, that is exactly what separates high achievers from everyone else. So how do we plan effectively? Well, you break it down chronologically. Start with a master list. Literally dump everything out of your head onto the page. Extract from that to create a monthly list, then a weekly list, and finally a daily list. Draw up your daily list the night before. Oh, and here's a fantastic workflow tip. Prepare your workspace completely before you begin. Clearing off your desk to create a distraction-free zone gives you this massive psychological boost. You sit down, everything is ready, and you are totally primed for action.
That brings us to phase 3, task prioritization techniques.
Okay, so you've got your perfectly organized lists, but let's be real, you still have mountains of tasks. This is where you have to decide what actually matters among all the noise, and we do that using the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. This rule states that 20% of your activities will account for a massive 80% of your results. Think about it. If you have 10 tasks on your list, 2 of them are worth more than the other 8 combined. You must resist the temptation to clear up the small, easy things first. You have to focus relentlessly on that top 20%. And you know, this mindset naturally leads to long-term thinking.
Highly successful people constantly evaluate their current actions based on future impact and long-term goals. Unsuccessful people, on the other hand, tend to fall into short-term thinking, prioritizing immediate attention relief, comfort, and easy distractions. Before you start any task, ask yourself, what are the long-term consequences of doing this or not doing it? That's going to instantly reveal its true priority.
To make this super practical, try using the ABCD method. A tasks are things you absolutely must do with serious consequences if you fail. B tasks are things you should do with mild consequences. C tasks are nice to do but carry zero consequences. D means delegated to someone else, and E means eliminated entirely. By categorizing your tasks this way, you instantly clear out mental clutter. And your A1 task? Yep, that is your frog. You never ever touch a B task when an A task is sitting there waiting for you.
Keep in mind, you have to obey the law of forced efficiency. This law basically says that there is never enough time to do everything. There just isn't, but there is always enough time to do the most important things. If you're ever feeling stuck, ask yourself these 3 clarifying questions. What are my highest value activities? What can I and only I do that will make a real difference? And what is the most valuable use of my time right now? The answer to that very last question dictates your very next move.
Moving right along to phase 4, identifying and overcoming obstacles.
So, we know what to do, and we've prioritized it. So, what actually stops us from taking action? I want to challenge you to look inward and identify your choke points. The fascinating truth here is that 80% of the constraints holding you back from your goals are internal. Only 20% are external factors. This means the vast majority of your obstacles are actually a lack of a specific personal skill, a limiting belief, or a lack of discipline. They aren't outside forces you can't control. It's time to take responsibility and ask, what is it in me that's holding me back?
Now, when the obstacle seems just way too huge, remember this amazing metaphor. Take it one oil barrel at a time. The author shares this story of crossing the vast, totally featureless Sahara Desert, where the only markers were black oil barrels spaced 5 kilometers apart. You couldn't see the ultimate destination at all. You could only see the very next barrel. Massive, intimidating projects are achieved exactly the same way, simply by focusing all of your energy on taking the very next visible step.
A major internal choke point is often just a feeling of inadequacy in a certain area, which is a massive trigger for procrastination. The solution? Upgrade your skills continually. You can do this by reading in your field for 30 to 60 minutes daily, taking specialized courses, or listening to educational audio in your car instead of the radio. When you improve your competence at a task, you naturally become more confident and motivated to do it, and you're going to eat that frog so much faster.
And that brings us to our final phase, phase 5, focused action and maintaining energy.
Look, it's one thing to have a great plan and prioritize lists. It's another thing entirely to execute them relentlessly while maintaining your physical and mental stamina. You've got to put the pressure on yourself. Don't wait around for a boss or a deadline to motivate you. Try this mental trick. Imagine you suddenly have to leave town for a month, starting tomorrow. What absolutely must get done today before you leave? That creates instant artificial efficiency. Also, be your own cheerleader. Did you know that 95% of your emotions depend on how you talk to yourself? Control your inner dialogue. Tell yourself you are capable and focus on solutions, not the problems.
And remember, you absolutely cannot have mental toughness without physical energy. Personal productivity requires you to treat your body like a competitive athlete getting ready for a major match. Guard your sleep fiercely. Eat a healthy, high-protein, low-carb diet to maintain steady energy levels without crashing. Exercise regularly to keep your stamina up. And critically, make sure you schedule your hardest tasks, your biggest frogs, during your peak energy hours, which for most of us is early in the morning.
So the big, crucial question I'm leaving you with today is this: which frog will you eat today? I want you to look at your to-do list right now. Pick the biggest, most important, and ugliest task you have, the one that will make the biggest positive impact on your life, and start eating that frog immediately. Seriously, don't overthink it. Just take that first bite. Until next time, keep prioritizing, keep learning, and tackle those big tasks head on.